found a very effective rollout strategy so that in record time, that we got shots into people's arms, and so people were vaccinated against this virus. And importantly, these vaccines turned out to be much more effective than I know I would have imagined back in January. It turns out if you've been fully vaccinated, you're not transmitting, and these vaccines are very effective against the variant, at least so far. We should knock on wood. All that means, especially with the really fast rollout of the vaccination, is we have gotten back to the semblance of normality really quickly. And when I say very quickly, let's remember it was just back in April 19th that we open up vaccinations for all adults. And it takes 5 to 6 weeks for adults to get fully vaccinated. So we're, 3 or 4 weeks from most adults having had the opportunity to be fully vaccinated. What that means is that demand has come roaring back. It's come roaring back faster than the Federal Reserve anticipated. It's come back faster than I would even argue most businesses anticipated, which means that they are scrambling to find workers. They're also scrambling to put goods on the shelf and to be able to provide, because they liquidated their inventories last spring, liquidating often at a loss, or they powered down their own enterprises, and so everybody's coming back at once. That is causing supply chain challenges. On the worker side, workers now, since we followed a policy, we broke up relationships, people were fired through the pandemic. It means that workers now need to find another suitable position. And they're just weeks from understanding that they can start to get back to normal.
Right.
So we're seeing what I believe is the kind of a reopening of a nearly $23 trillion economy. That is a normal process. So at the moment, I believe that this inflation is temporary, is transitory, as the economy works itself back together, as we knit back together. And that is what I believe underlies the Fed's thinking as well. So do I think the inflation we're seeing is a problem? I don't think it's a problem in the sense that it will become anchored, to use a technical term, and result in a hyperinflation. But I think we will see some elevated prices as the economy gets back to normal.
Dr. Rouse, in the 30 seconds that we have left, in closing the racial wealth gap, what's the one thing that you're looking at that would show you that you're being successful, that the administration is being successful in closing the racial wealth gap?
So wealth happens over time. So I would first look to see whether we have rates of unemployment that look more equal, so that we see blacks participating in our economy at rates similar to whites. That's the first step I would look at. I would start to look at wages, to whether we see wages, the racial gap in wages narrowing. And then in terms of wealth, I would like to see that blacks are able to buy homes in the same kinds of areas as whites. And for that they can afford the home, and they can buy homes in the areas where they would like. We know that home ownership accounts for more than 30% of the black-white gap in wealth. And so I think that will be an important metric as to whether we've created the kinds of policies, the kinds of credit markets and availability so that blacks are able to participate in home ownership at increasing rates as well. So those would be some early signs, but wealth happens over time. It's an accumulation, which is why it really is one of those profound signs of the health of our economy, because when you have such large and entrenched differences in wealth, that doesn't tell you that at one point in time there was a difference. That tells you that difference has been going on for quite some time.
And with that, Dr. Rouse, we're going to have to leave it there. Cecilia Rouse, Chair of the White House Council of Economic Advisors, thank you very much for coming to Washington Post Live.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Moderator is columnist Jonathan Capehart.
Coming up, John W. Rogers Jr., Chair and CEO of Ariel Investments.
I'll look for Definition of Dependence.
Piece together the entirety of the impact on Black lives to really understand